Welcome to our session covering the rules, frameworks, and regulations that surround artificial intelligence. Today, we are exploring the ecosystem of guidance that keeps AI safe and compliant. Understanding this is incredibly practical for your day-to-day work. When your company decides to implement a new smart chatbot for customer service or an automated financial forecasting tool, you are the person who must evaluate if that tool crosses any legal or ethical lines. Knowing these standards allows you to confidently give the green light to safe projects and stop risky implementations before they result in heavy fines or public relations disasters. Let us start with the foundation, which is best practices. You can think of best practices as the generally accepted right way to do something, even before a strict law forces you to do it. The good news is that we do not have to throw out everything we already know. Basic information assurance principles still apply. Information assurance simply means keeping data secure and reliable. Think about how you would protect sensitive customer records in a traditional database. You lock the system down and control exactly who has access. When building an AI system, those exact same security and privacy life cycles are required. You treat the AI just like any other new software going through its standard software development life cycle. However, artificial intelligence introduces totally new quirks that need special attention. Because of these unique challenges, we look to three main areas to figure out what our best practices should be. These areas are academic research, industry standards, and government regulations. By following best practices, developers ensure they build ethical systems that minimize harm and avoid non-compliance penalties. Right now, because global laws are so new and mostly untested in courts, many companies simply rely on their own internal standards. They build these internal rules by pulling together research industry guidelines and their own corporate experience to fill the legal gaps. The first major source of guidance is academic research. Universities and independent research labs act as the early warning system for the tech world. They run experiments and publish papers that highlight potential problems long before a product hits the market. While a university cannot pass a law, its research heavily influences the lawmakers and industry leaders who do. For example, researchers might study how a computer program makes decisions to ensure the system can be properly audited. They focus on a concept called explainability. Explainability is the ability to look at an AI output and easily understand exactly how the computer arrived at that answer. Imagine a teacher grading a math test. The teacher needs to see the student's written steps, not just the final number. AI explainability is demanding that the computer shows its work so humans can hold it accountable. Another critical area of research focuses on how AI impacts specific community groups. For instance, academic reports might analyze how an automated loan approval system unfairly rejects applications from minority neighborhoods. This type of research is absolutely vital for governments when they sit down to write fair and equitable technology policies. Once academic research identifies the issues, industry standard groups step in to create frameworks. A framework is essentially a structured checklist or a playbook that helps a company organize its operations and stay compliant. These are usually created by large international or industry-specific organizations supported by governments or private sectors. Let us walk through 6 critical standard examples you need to know. First is ISO IEC 23053. This is a standard from the International Organization for Standardization. This specific rule set provides a common language and generic framework for systems using machine learning. Machine learning is simply a type of AI where the computer learns from spotting patterns in data rather than being explicitly programmed for every single step. Think of it like learning to recognize a dog by looking at hundreds of pictures of dogs instead of reading a textbook on canine biology. Next is ISO IEC 42001. This focuses on the management system of information technology AI. A management system is the set of rules and daily processes a company uses to achieve its business goals. This voluntary standard is all about establishing internal processes for ethical use, transparency, and continuous improvement in AI governance. Then we have the IEEE 70002021 standard. This comes from the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. This standard is deeply focused on the human element. It gives developers a process to embed human values, privacy, and fairness directly into the system design from the very beginning of its life cycle. Moving to global economic groups, we have the OECD AI Principles. The Organization for Economic Co-operation and Development represents countries across the Americas, Europe, and the Asia-Pacific regions. Their principles are a set of highly influential recommendations centering on transparency, inclusiveness, accountability, and sustainability. In the United States, we have the NIST AI Risk Management Framework. NIST stands for the National Institute of Standards and Technology. This framework is specifically built to help organizations map out, measure, and mitigate the risks associated with building and using AI systems. Finally, we look at the Model AI Governance Framework from Singapore. Developed by their Personal Data Protection Commission, this is a practical guide to help organizations deploy AI responsibly in real-world corporate scenarios. The final layer of guidance comes from formal laws and regulations. Governments use these rules to actively enforce oversight. Right now, most AI laws are so new that they are completely untested in litigation. Litigation just means the formal process of taking legal action or suing someone in a court of law. Because almost no one has sued over these, yet the exact boundaries of the law are still a bit blurry. Many of these rules are still in the draft phase at national or local state levels. Usually these laws point back to the standard frameworks we just discussed and state that if you do not follow those guidelines, your company will face financial penalties. Let us look at 5 key legal initiatives you must recognize. In the European Union, there is the proposed AI Act. This law groups AI applications by their risk level. An AI that sorts spam email has a very low risk, while an AI that controls hospital medical equipment has a very high risk, and the law imposes much stricter rules on the higher risk tools. Also from the European Union is the proposed AI Liability Directive. This aims to clarify who pays civil damages if an AI system causes physical harm or financial loss. It is just like a court determining if the human driver or the car manufacturer pays for an accident when a self-driving vehicle crashes. In the United States, there is the proposed Algorithmic Accountability Act. This legislation would force companies to formally assess the impact of their automated decision systems and actively fix any biases or risks they find. Meanwhile, many individual US states and federal agencies already enforce their own local technology guidelines. Also in the United States, we have the Active National AI Act. This active law is designed to push forward AI research and deployment across the country. Importantly, it was the legislative driving force that required the creation of the NIST Risk Management Framework we discussed a few moments ago. Finally, in China, there is the AI Development Plan. This document outlines the national strategy for technology growth alongside strict ethical boundaries. It is designed to work in tandem with their broader data security law enacted in 2021 to ensure heavy regulatory control over how data is processed. Let us quickly recap what we have covered today. We learned that AI auditing relies heavily on best practices, which borrow from traditional software security, but add specific ethical checks. These best practices are often born in academic research, which acts as the conceptual testing ground for new ideas. Organizations like ISO, IEEE, and NIST translate that academic research into functional frameworks and playbooks for businesses. Finally, governments lock these concepts into place with binding laws like the European Union AI Act, which categorize risk and attach real financial penalties for non-compliance. All the important frameworks, definitions, and legal concepts from this session are covered in the multiple choice questions on RooCloud.com. You should ideally solve the chapter-wise questions there to thoroughly reinforce your learning before you move on to the next session. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you in the next lesson.